WrestleMania is only 2 weeks away, and we could potentially be looking at Randy Orton and Kevin Owens canceled from the WrestleMania card. What is going on with Kevin Owens? Supposedly, he is injured and will not be making WrestleMania 41. All the latest, plus what could potentially be Kevin Owens being written off television tonight on SmackDown, right here on Off the Script. Also, plans for Rey Fenix. What is going on with Rey Fenix, and who is he supposed to debut against? And we have news on King of the Ring. WWE not bringing back King of the Ring as a PLE this year. All this and so much more right here on today's Off the Script for April 4th, 2025. We will start with King of the Ring. One of my favorite gimmicks of the entire year when WWE actually does it. King of the Ring is one of my favorite PLEs ever in WWE history, with the 1993 King of the Ring being my personal favorite. Bret the Hitman Hart winning the 3 matches that he needed to win the King of the Ring. WWE took King of the Ring and axed it in 2002 because Vince McMahon thought, due to declining buy rates, nobody was interested in seeing such a gimmick and such a tournament take place on their television show. And since then, WWE has had several tournaments on television, network specials, up until 2024, where they brought it back and made it a PLE with King and Queen of the Ring. Now, WrestleVotes, during their last episode of WrestleVotes Radio, noted that King of the Ring is not going to be on PLE, but Night of Champions will be taking its place, scheduled for Saudi Arabia on June 28th. We have details regarding another PLE, says WrestleVotes, this time coming to Saudi Arabia. The event will take place on Saturday, June 28th, and as of now, here's the real news. It's titled Night of Champions, not King and Queen of the Ring as it was last year. So King of the Ring, currently not on the schedule. We return to Saudi Arabia on Saturday, June 28th for the only PLE in Saudi Arabia this year, titled Night of Champions, end quote. I was wondering where and when the next Saudi show was going to be. Some people said that it may be towards the end of the year, like they did with the show Crown Jewel, I think it was, the Crown Jewel Championships. That was right before Survivor Series. People were thinking that it may be similar to that this year. Looks like they may be doing that Crown Jewel Championship here on Night of Champions, being that it goes along with the name of the show. June 28th is the next Saudi show. We're only getting 1. Next year, we're getting 3. So it's a nice trade-off. We don't have to worry about Saudi for the rest of the year past June. But then come January, Saudi's getting the Royal Rumble, and then we will be getting 2 additional Saudi shows in 2026. So if you guys don't like those shows, brace it. It's coming in 2026. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that the King of the Ring tournament is not going to be on the WWE schedule. They're doing Night of Champions here on June 28th, and WWE could realistically do the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring tournament to give Raw and SmackDown some special feeling, some importance leading into SummerSlam, which I hope is the case. I do hope that they do have scheduled this year for the King of the Ring tournament. It is a perfect bridge between WrestleMania and SummerSlam for us to get the number 1 contender for the Women's World Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship, WWE title, or the Women's Championship over on SmackDown. I think that's the best possible scenario to crown a number 1 contender for SummerSlam. It just makes WWE's life a little bit easier when you can crown number 1 contenders via the tournament. So I hope that is still the case. I don't mind seeing it on television. Maybe WWE could be a little bit adventurous this year and kind of tweak the rules and make it a round-robin tournament. I would love to see something like that. I think WWE, if they ventured and did something like that, it would be great television. I'd like to see them kind of do something like that, a take on the G1 or what AEW does with the Continental Classic. I think that would be very good on WWE television. Probably not more of a single elimination style tournament. WWE usually keeps it simple, but regardless, I'd like to see it back at least this year as a bridge between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. But it won't be taking place on a PLE. Night of Champions will be taking place on June 28th, which my prediction also, little sidebar, I think Goldberg will be retiring in Saudi Arabia. I do think that he takes the match against either Braun Breaker or Gunther, and he retires in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions. So we will see what happens there. Or it could be SummerSlam, Night of Champions, Saudi, or SummerSlam, I think, will be Goldberg's retirement match for WWE. Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix and plans for his first feud are now revealed. Now, he is making his debut on Friday Night SmackDown live tonight from Chicago. I will be live as soon as the show is over. Actually, I am quite happy that we are getting back to normal times, 8 p.m. Eastern time for SmackDown. These European shows and 3 p.m., 4 p.m. start times kind of mess with my schedule. So I'm actually quite happy that we're going back to normalcy here tonight on the road to WrestleMania. SmackDown is getting Rey Fenix. On a recent edition of a Q&A on Patreon, WrestleVotes stated that there was supposed to be a segment on SmackDown with Andrade being told about a new talent coming to the brand 3 weeks ago. That was nixed. Now, it is speculated that Andrade is going to be Fenix's first opponent. Dave Meltzer even noted on The Observer, Fenix is expected to feud with Andrade. By the way, he says Fenix is going to be feuding with Andrade. I don't know if they will do it on Friday with his debut, end quote. First of all, Fenix masks and t-shirts are already on WWEshop.com. Just to further prove to everybody that AEW is not a real business. They are not predicated on making money, selling tickets, etc., says CM Punk. Clearly, that statement becomes more true as the months go on. They now have masks and shirts for Penta. That was before he debuted. Now they're doing the same thing with Rey Fenix. It just boggles my mind how they did not do that and take those steps with two of the most acclaimed luchadors in the world over in AEW. I like this move. I like this move feuding with Andrade. I'll get to that in a second. What I also like is that Penta and Fenix are going to be on separate brands. I was thinking, let's get Fenix over on Raw. Let's get Grande Americano, a WrestleMania match by ushering in Rey Fenix, luchador hired by Rey Mysterio. He goes and wrestles Grande Americano. We get something similar to what Seth Rollins did when he called out anybody at WrestleMania 38 and out came Cody Rhodes. I think that would be a great way to get Rey Fenix into the mix in WWE. But they're not doing that. He's not going to Raw. He's going to Friday Night SmackDown. His brother Penta is on Monday Night Raw. Fenix is on SmackDown. They already made the mention of the Lucha Brothers being in WWE. Penta is growing his star on Monday night. He could realistically walk out with the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. He's growing his star as a single on Monday Night Raw. Fenix is going to be doing that on Friday night. It's going to take a little bit more for Fenix to get there because Penta has a couple of months ahead of him. Now, instantly you think, well, why aren't they putting the Lucha Brothers together? That's a moment in itself. You don't want to give away that moment right away. Penta is a star on his own. Fenix is a star on his own. They're both very well off as singles. They can do their own thing, but when they come together, it's also special. That is a moment in itself that WWE is just not going to give away. There's going to be a time and a place for that to happen. Plus, if Penta is building his star on Monday and Fenix builds his star on Friday, the Lucha Brothers are great, but if they're greater, if they're bigger, if their stars and spotlight are brighter, and they come together, the Lucha Brothers are only going to be bigger when they do eventually come together. So I do like that aspect that they are on separate brands. Now, the feud with Andrade, you can't ask for a better feud than Andrade, one of the best pro wrestlers, not only in WWE, but in my opinion, the world. He could use a mouthpiece, though. I do think that is missing from his repertoire. I do think that they should realistically pair him back with Zelina Vega. I do think that act never had the lifespan that it needed on the main roster, and I do think that was still the best Andrade and the best work that Zelina did as well. She's never felt the same since they split both of them up during their early NXT main roster days. This is a great start for Fenix, but I want you guys to look at the way that it makes Andrade look as well. He's not been in anything since the Best of 7 series with Melo. That didn't really do anything for either guy because look at where they are now. They were supposed to be battling over the United States Championship. Who wants the United States Championship? I figured that they would take that into WrestleMania this year, and both would be factored into the United States Championship. Melo's now with Miz, which is ridiculous. That is so beneath him. And Andrade hasn't even been on television. He's been segments here and there. Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma. I don't know what's going on there. But this is a great thing for Andrade. Not only does it give him importance, but it gives him a babyface to work with that eventually could see Andrade turn heel. Now, what I mean by that is, I mentioned the Zelina Vega aspect. I'd like to see them come back together as a pairing. I don't know if that's a possibility, but this is an easy shoo-in for Andrade and WWE. WWE Creative has an easy storyline here. Andrade is easily overlooked. Andrade hasn't been given the opportunities. Andrade is one of the world's best luchadors, quote unquote, or Mexican talents. And WWE continues to bring in Mexican talent. They got Santos. They got Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee. They got Phoenix and Penta. Andrade's value is dropping while WWE continues to bring in all these other names. Andrade is now easily overlooked because everybody else is talking about these other names and not Andrade. It would give him an easy storyline to come out here and turn heel against Rey Fenix because he's overlooked and he feels that the top luchador spot in WWE belongs to him and they need to go through him to get it. That would be a great way to get him back into where he needs to be on the main roster. So I do like this. I'm very much looking forward to it. The fact that they nixed it 3 weeks ago, they very well could do that tonight. We don't know if it's going to be a backstage segment. We don't know if it's going to be his first match, Phoenix against Andrade, and it leads to something more afterwards. We don't know, but I'm excited to see it. They are in Chicago, a city that knows Rey Fenix very well, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they do with Phoenix here on WWE television. Kevin Owens. This is not good news. And this is not good for WrestleMania. Kevin Owens is dealing with an injury ahead of WrestleMania 41. Now, this does not mean that Kevin Owens is going to be off the card. This does not mean Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is canceled. We don't know anything yet. This is coming out as of a few hours ago. Kevin Owens has fans concerned regarding his status for WrestleMania 41, where he is slated to work with Randy Orton. That has been a feud months in the making. PWN, which is Pro Wrestling Nexus, which has broken stories in the past, is reporting that Owens is dealing with an undisclosed injury and has no timetable set for a return to action. With Mania just over 2 weeks away, the injury puts this match in jeopardy. It was said that the alternative plans for Orton have been discussed, but a decision has not yet been made. Owens last wrestled on March 1st at the Elimination Chamber against Sami Zayn in an unsanctioned lights-out match. It's unclear when the injury happened, although his match with Zayn was brutal and violent, so one would assume it happened there. That is all we know as far as the injury. Now, Dr. Chris Featherstone tweeted out today that Kevin Owens will address his injury tonight on Friday Night SmackDown and address his WrestleMania status, if he will be there or if he's going to miss WrestleMania 41. This was one of the matches I was looking forward to most at WrestleMania just because I'm a big fan of Orton. I'm a big fan of Kevin Owens. I do think that you put two of these volatile individuals together, it's going to make a great WrestleMania match. And plus, there's backstory and this story there. I don't know where they would go with Randy Orton if this match ended up getting canceled. If Kevin Owens can't make WrestleMania, two things are going to happen, in my opinion. Well, one thing is going to happen, and then the other is just me speculating. One, if Owens comes out tonight and says nothing, obviously the report was bullshit. Match is on, we get Owens and Orton, and then Owens, he could take a sabbatical or go out, get surgery, rest up, heal the injury, and come back when needed. That's number one. Sidebar. If the match doesn't happen, Kevin Owens is going to be on SmackDown tonight, and they will write Kevin Owens off TV, and the punt kick that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania will happen tonight on SmackDown. Now, you guys may be watching this after the fact. You may watch SmackDown and then my review, and then come back to this at a later date. If none of this happens, it's just me speculating. This video is going up around 2:30 Eastern on a Friday afternoon. If Owens is not at WrestleMania and says he cannot wrestle, Orton will punt kick him tonight, write him off television, and then he will be gone. Orton, what he does at WrestleMania, I don't know. He doesn't really fit into anywhere else. You could make fantasy booking scenarios about him being the third man for The Rock, him fucking over Cody Rhodes. That could work. But that's not enough for Randy Orton. He was supposed to have a match. Where's the Randy Orton match? He's already made mention that he wants number 15. He's coming for Cody. He's coming for Cena. No matter who wins the championship match on night 2 at WrestleMania, he is coming for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest is happening. I don't know what night. I don't think they've really released that yet. I think WrestleVotes was speculating about what the match order could be or what matches are going to be taking place on what night. If Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest takes place on night 1, I would make that a number 1 contenders match for the WWE Championship at Backlash. Now, you do that, and you do McIntyre and Priest. The winner of that would make Orton on night 2 a match with Orton. So Priest and McIntyre match. Whoever wins that wrestles Randy Orton on night 2. The winner of that match, whether it's Priest or McIntyre against Orton, becomes the number 1 contender. And they go on to Backlash and get the WWE title match at Backlash against either John Cena or Cody Rhodes. So you would use Orton in this Drew McIntyre conflict that he's got going on right now just to play off what we saw last week. You do Priest and McIntyre. Winner of that gets Orton on night 2. Winner of that's the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. So you get all involved. You make sense of it. You give the Priest and McIntyre match a little bit more of an importance now, where right now there isn't any, but it just being a match. You give Orton a spot to earn the number 1 contendership for the WWE Championship. And all while you're doing that, you play off night 1 directly affecting night 2, which right now they don't have any plans for after what we got last year. And they went off with those plans, and it was a beautiful night 1 into night 2 type of storyline. They don't have that right now going into WrestleMania 41 this year. That could be their way to do that. So Priest McIntyre, night 1. The winner of that wrestles Orton on night 2. The winner of that gets the number 1 contendership for the WWE Championship at Backlash in St. Louis. You use the night 1 into night 2 format, and you give everybody involved a little bit more sense of importance, and you get Randy Orton something to do in the midst of Kevin Owens not being there at WrestleMania, and you would have already written him off television on Friday Night SmackDown with the punt kick, which would lead to his absence on WWE television. I think it works. One flows into the next, into the other. I like it. Let me know what you guys think about that. Again, this may be nothing. Orton and Kevin Owens could still take place at WrestleMania, even after tonight. We don't know. But in the light that he is injured and won't be wrestling at WrestleMania, I think what I just brought to the table is some solid plan for WrestleMania 41 and getting Orton on that card and still keeping his importance in Las Vegas. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you did enjoy today's video, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. If you want to join me live tonight, I will be live for SmackDown right here on Off the Script after the show goes off the air around 11:20 tonight Eastern Time. Going to be very happy to join you guys at a normal time once again. And if you did enjoy the video, please leave a thumbs up down below. Helps us out in the YouTube algorithm as always. And be sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I would love to get to 168,000 subscribers before we hit WrestleMania weekend. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you tonight live right here on the podcast with the SmackDown post show on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.